Ladies and gentlemen, mentalist Dr. Steve Taubman joining the Morning Brew.
Good to see you all, and thrilled to be sharing some interesting phenomena with you today.
Steve has a performance tonight at the Hooker Dunham Theater at 7:30. Tickets available at the door about 5 minutes prior to the show.
Neat little theater, too, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's a beautiful theater. Hello, Ernie. And Ernie the dog is here, but you can't see him.
We'll have to find a way to get him up there in a shot, too.
Hi, buddy. He's a good boy. 96.7 TSA FM. There's Maroon 5 here on a Thursday morning at the Morning Brew. It's Ian. A beautiful morning. Going to be a beautiful day, too. Partly sunny, low 70s. Partly cloudy tonight, upper 40s. Right now it's 57 in Greenfield, 57 in Keene. Currently 57 degrees outside our waterfront studios. And a special guest stopping by the Morning Brew this morning, Dr. Steve Taubman. He is a mentalist. He has a performance tonight at the Hooker Dunham Theater. Tickets are available, just $20. And my bosses are going. We're going to get a first-hand report tonight. But I welcome into the Morning Brew, mentalist Dr. Steve Taubman. How are you, sir?
Ian, what a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. What a neat studio you've got here. And thrilled to be in Brattleboro. Thrilled to be performing for some of the Brattleboroians. And super excited.
Yeah, you brought Ernie the dog with you.
I did. I wish I could show him to you on the video, but he's down here kind of...
He's beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a handsome dog. Now, I didn't give you directions. Did you just use your mentalist powers to find out where we were located? Or
I just started driving around and I waited until I felt the right place. Luckily, there was a tower there.
It drew you in. That's awesome. Well, you have a performance tonight, as I mentioned, at 7:30, Hooker Dunham Theater. It's your first time here in Brattleboro, right?
It is. First time I've performed in Brattleboro that I can recall, yeah.
Okay, so explain to me, what is a mentalist?
Good question. So mentalism is a branch of magic, if you will. We emphasize the magic of the mind. So my show is called Mind Magic, and the idea is that we're fascinating creatures, and we can be read. A good gambler will be able to pick up on somebody's tells, and a mentalist will study these things to an advanced level and be able to pick up on things that people are sharing without realizing that they're sharing, do a little bit of prediction, play the odds a little bit, but it's essentially mind reading, prediction, and this particular show has also a lot of humor and wisdom in it too.
Now, how did you come to end up here? What did you used to do, and how did you become Dr. Steve Taubman mentalist? What was that journey like?
So for many years I ran a successful chiropractic and sports medicine practice. And I was, at the time, very interested in personal health and well-being, and mostly physical health. And at one point, I just realized it was time to move on. I sold my practice, I took a year off, and then I became really fascinated with states of mind, mindfulness, presence. I studied meditation, a lot of meditation. And then I started doing some hypnosis for psychological purposes, as well as the old stage hypnosis shows, which are super fun, and I've done those all over the world.
Now, where are you from? You're based out of Burlington. Are you originally from Vermont? Are you a Vermonter, or how did you end up in Burlington?
No, I grew up on Long Island. I grew up in Massapequa, along with Jerry Seinfeld and Alec Baldwin and a few other folks that were all contemporaries. And traveled around and ended up in Burlington after graduating from chiropractic school.
Now, this is true. You became the official hypnotist for MTV's Spring Break, which ended back in '05. How did you come about to end up being the official hypnotist for the MTV Spring Break, and what was that scene like? Because listen, I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah.
How'd you survive that, first of all?
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Yeah, it's wild. You've got thousands and thousands of kids from all over the country, and semi-inebriated or in all sorts.
Semi.
I use semi very loosely, and just putting on shows on these big stages, where the big bands would perform, and I'd get up there and I'd do an hour-long stage hypnosis show and hypnotize maybe 20 or 30 kids and have them do all kinds of crazy stuff. And a lot came out of that experience too. It was a lot of fun.
Now, obviously, we're a family-friendly show, so choose your words carefully here. But
Yeah.
what was the craziest thing you ever witnessed as being part of MTV Spring Break, if you can say with kind words?
Right. Well, let's say there were various levels of dress and undress that happened from time to time.
In Florida at Spring Break, get out of here!
Yeah.
Really?
Well, this was Jamaica and Barbados were the two places I spent most of my time. So
Nice.
things got pretty crazy. Just a lot of wild sensual dancing and things like that. The funny stuff was when one of the stories. This happened that led to my speaking career. Actually, I was performing a show in Jamaica, and I had one of my subjects. I said, "When you wake up, three things are going to happen." I said, "Number one, you don't believe you're hypnotized, even though you are." I said, "Number two, this is the worst show you've ever seen. You're aggravated with me." And I said, "Number three, there's an invisible wall 3 feet in front of you." So I woke everybody up. I said, "How's everybody doing?" This guy screams, "You suck!" I think I said that, right?
Yeah, you can. You're okay.
And I said, "What's the problem?" The guy says, "This show's terrible." I said, "Well, then leave." And the guy gets up. He takes 3 steps. He smacks into an invisible wall. And he's pushing and he's pushing and he can't get through it. And he finally sits back down and he crosses his arms and he starts to pout. And I said, "What's the problem?" He says, "Nothing." I said, "Are you hypnotized?" He goes, "No." I said, "Are you having fun?" "No." I said, "Well, then why don't you leave?" And the guy thinks for a minute and he says, "I'm not going to give you the satisfaction."
No way.
And I realized that was kind of a pivotal point for me, because I realized in a way that's kind of all of us in life. We all have a place we want to go, a hope, a dream, and then we hit our invisible walls.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of my career as a personal development guru, where I started traveling around the country and speaking, because I realized that lessons from hypnosis were fascinating. We're all, we live based on what we believe to be true, but why do we believe it?
Right.
And that's what I got real interested in.
So I'm going to ask you another dumb question, because that's my specialty. Do you have to go to how do you learn to become a hypnotist? Do you have to go to hypnotist college, or how do you gain that ability?
It depends. So I studied with Scott McFall, who was a well-known stage and clinical hypnotist, and that was my first foray into it. I spent months working with him. And then I backed it up with some clinical training through the American Board of Hypnotherapy. Some people get hypnotic training through psychology, so they might be a clinical psychologist, and it's a whole branch of psychology. So some people go a little more rogue, some people do it a little bit more officially, but ultimately there are things you do need to know how to do.
Yeah, I would think, right?
Not just to put them under, but to take them out again.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
you send them out, you want to bring them back, right?
Yeah, and we've had stories there too. So I've had early in my career where I would tell people that they didn't remember their own first name.
Oh.
And I remember doing a show and packing up to leave. This was at Phillips Exeter Academy probably 20 years ago. And some girls came up to me at the end of the show while I was packing out and said, "You got to come to our dorm room." I said, "Why?" They said, "Our friend doesn't know her name. She thinks she's Elizabeth, even though her name was Jane."
That happens in college all the time.
Well, I know. It's like I don't want to take any responsibility for it, but I had to. And that's what happens. People get so convinced by the hypnotic state of whatever they believe to be true that no amount of evidence will convince them otherwise.
I'm seeing that a lot these days in social media, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's mass hypnosis.
Okay.
We become indoctrinated into a particular way of thinking. We hear it all the time. And of course, social media is really good at repeating things over and over until they sound true.
How about that? Now, we have some props. I'm not sure if you wanted to get to what you want to get to right now, or we're going to we have more opportunities throughout the next half hour or
Well,
so.
I guess we could describe what I've got here.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, and then we could even set up for the first effect and then go from there. So I asked you to get a copy of the Brattleboro Reformer, which you did, and it's sitting here, and I'm just now looking at it for the first time. And I also sent you a priority mail package. We have a video here, so I could.
Yeah.
Priority mail package,
Unopened.
which is unopened, and I made sure that we wrote all over it. Don't open until September 14th, and we're gonna look for the prediction in here. I've got a coin here, which we're going to use for a coin toss, you and I. And I've got a deck of cards here, and we could do right now is just to set things up if we have just a moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, well, we're not going to reveal anything just yet. All I'm going to do is I'm going to point out, and again, this is, we've got all the folks out there who could see that this is in fact the real deck of cards. There's no rhyme or reason or order. You can take a look at this yourself.
Yeah,
These cards are
They're legit.
they're legit. And what I'm going to do is I have you cut the cards. And we're not even going to look at the card you cut to just yet. We're just going to ask you to cut like so.
Yep.
And we'll even.
Gotcha.
Perfectly
There
done.
we go,
We're gonna
cut the cards.
Yeah, we're gonna mark that spot so it stays where it was. Just that
Mhm.
was your cut, and that's the spot. So we'll leave it like so until the
Okay.
time comes, and that'll become important in a little while when we get around to the prediction part of the program. And that's all we really need to do
Okay.
right now. We'll use that in a few minutes, but I just wanted to point out both to the folks on video that we've made a legitimate cut, that you did it and I didn't cut the cards, you cut them, and that we've got these other props here. That's it.
Okay, here we go. We cut the card. I can do that.
Yeah.
That's
Even at this time of the morning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm good at that. All right, Dr. Steve Talman, he is going to be here for a little bit this morning. Of course, once again, he has a performance tonight at the Hooker Dunham Theater. Tickets are just $20, and they are available at the door. And you do have a website. Where can people find out some more information about what you do?
Mindmagic.guru.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I
thank
like
you.
that.
Yeah, mindmagic.guru. And you'll see a little video up top of me performing all over the world. And then there's some descriptive text a little bit below. And then there's a button somewhere that'll take you over to the page where you would buy your ticket.
Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. I like that. Dr. Steve Talman dropping by the Morning Brew this morning. It is 7:47.
All right.
Dr. Steve Talman, ladies and gentlemen.